can you quantify the season that was the 2021 Raiders? You could say it was tumultuous. You could say it was exhilarating. You could say it was a roller coaster. But even though their season ended this past Saturday, because of the special year the Raiders had, you would ultimately have to call it a success. The 2021 Raiders team motto should have been "Hold my beer," because they had many moments where these three words could have been said. Believe it or not, the season actually started with hope and optimism. Even though they played in their new stadium, Allegiant Stadium, in the 2020 season, the 2021 season was the first season where fans were able to come into the stadium and see them play. However, that stadium wasn't in Oakland or in Los Angeles, but in Las Vegas. They sent the crowd home happy after their opening week contest against the Ravens. They traveled to the Steel City and disposed of the struggling Steelers. Then they came back home and won their second nail-biter there, this time to the upstart Dolphins squad. Things were looking up at 3-0. But little did they, and we know, the storm clouds were circling. After their first loss of the season to the Chargers in LA, more on them a little later, emails head coach John Gruden sent to then president and general manager of the Washington NFL franchise, Bruce Allen, were leaked. It disparaged the executive director of the NFL Players Association, DeMar Smith, and his appearance, as they were the target of Gruden's ire. Gruden held a press conference where he described those who were liars having rubber lips, and that his leaked email was not racist at all, and neither was he. He remained on the sidelines as the Raiders lost their first home game of the season to the lowly Bears. Around the same time, a story broke where Gruden admitted to calling the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, an unspecified expletive, which was a misogynistic slur. Gruden said that he was in a bad place around 2011, and he was fighting for the sport he so dearly loves. The day after the Bears' home loss, the New York Times dropped a bomb on the sports world, revealing sexist, homophobic, and misogynistic language in more emails Gruden wrote to Allen. He also called Goodell a homophobic slur and mentioned Michael Sam and how the owners should regard him, who was the man who ended up being the first openly gay player to be drafted by the NFL. With racist, homophobic, sexist, misogynistic, and elitist emails being leaked out in public, Gruden immediately resigned, claiming he did not want to be a distraction. Special teams coach and beloved figure on the team, Rich Bisaccia, replaced Gruden. The ripple effects were felt in different ways. On the field, though, the Raiders bounced back to rally behind Bisaccia, winning back-to-back games, one at Denver and at home against the Eagles. They went into the bye week with a 5-2 record. Being on top of the AFC West seemed to defy the drama which surrounded the team, yet they found ways to win. Then, the big bombs dropped. Before their road game against the Giants, 2020 first-round draft pick Henry Ruggs III was involved in a fatal car crash. It was reported that he drove 156 miles per hour while intoxicated. The Raiders released Ruggs the day of his DUI crash. Then, a video was leaked of Raiders cornerback Damon Arnette brandishing a gun and making death threats. He was released the day after their Giants game. The off-the-field distractions finally seeped its way onto the field. A 23-16 loss on the road to the Giants. A 41-14 Sunday night home loss to the Chiefs. A 32-13 home loss to the Bengals. And the once promising season was on the brink of being over in a disastrous November swoon. It was topped off by a lawsuit from Gruden to the NFL for selectively targeting his emails out of the over 650,000 they collected, due to an investigation involving a toxic workplace environment with the Washington football team. The only bright spot in the month came in Thanksgiving when they went to AT&T Stadium and beat the Cowboys 36-33 in overtime. That Thanksgiving Day game broke their 3-game losing streak. It also may have saved their season, but trouble still lay ahead for the Silver and Black. They returned home, but took another loss in heartbreaking fashion against Washington. Then, after the Raiders stood on the Chiefs logo at midfield, they were summarily dismantled and dismissed 48-9, leaving the team 6-7. The last 4 games were against teams battling for playoff spots themselves. A loss to even one of them in their season was over. A last-second field goal in Cleveland propelled them over the Browns. A hard-fought struggle got them the win and the sweep at home against Denver. Another last-second field goal, this time in Indianapolis, deflated the Colts' playoff chances. It also brought the Raiders to a winner-take-all matchup at home against the Chargers. Before that game happened, though, the off-the-field distractions reared its ugly head once again. This time in the form of cornerback Nate Hobbs, who was arrested on a DUI charge. Even though Hobbs played, it still was an unwelcome sight for a Raiders team focused on making the playoffs. They ended the Chargers season winning it on a field goal with no time remaining in overtime. The 35-32 victory clinched the playoff berth for the Raiders, something most people believed was a foregone conclusion after Gruden's departure in October. Although the Raiders lost to the Bengals in the wildcard round, they went down swinging. Even with errant whistles, they fought until their very last breath. The season ended with an INT at the Bengals 2. Even though record-wise the Raiders went 10-7 and lost in the wildcard round, this season would be considered a building block year for the Raiders. To the rest of us, it was a lesson in determination, focus, will, and perseverance. The 2021 Raiders came together despite the circumstances not being right. And even though they didn't bring home any hardware, they still were champions.